Welcome to The Revolution, where our mission is to make our dollars revolve in our community. There are several things that can affect the flow of our dollars that we tend to take for granted. The environment in which we live is one of those things and can significantly affect a household's budget, from healthcare costs to home repairs and even relocation costs. Today we're speaking with environmental expert Dr. Kenya Goodson. We'll discuss environmental issues that are specific to the Black community, and we'll talk a little politics. Dr. Goodson has researched environmental issues in Washington, D.C., and continues her work in Tuscaloosa, Alabama as an advocate with Black Warrior Riverkeeper. She's also a science professor at my alma mater, Stillman College, and she was recently featured in Tuscaloosa Magazine as one of our city's 6 most intriguing people. Let's chat with Dr. Goodson. Welcome to The Revolution, Dr. Goodson.
Thank you so much for inviting me.
Yes,
I really
ma'am.
appreciate it.
So would you mind just telling the community a little bit about yourself?
Well, first of all, good evening, everyone. My name is Dr. Kenya Goodson. I consider myself a community activist and educator. My area is in environmental engineering and environmental science. I like for people to be informed about what's going on in the community when it comes to politics, and also when it comes to our environment, because a lot of our community is very unaware of these issues. So I feel that I'm here to educate people, to answer any questions, and just to give knowledge about what's going on.
Well, we are so glad to have you today.
Okay.
I really did just want to talk to you because I know you are involved in the community on a variety of levels. I know that your main thing is environmental science, so I wanted to talk to you about that first. I know the bulk of your research is in wastewater studies and trying to improve the quality of our water. So what exactly is the goal of your research?
So right now, the goal of my research is for it to be used toward policy initiatives. My research was used in an EPA study when it looked at contaminants of concern in the environment. And so what I'm actually interested in is looking at how environmental pollution affects communities of color and other disadvantaged communities, and what can we do to actually implement policies around these issues. So that's kind of what I'm interested in, just trying to mesh in the policy and the science. So
we definitely need more people like you who are trying to make positive strides within our own community, because that definitely is really needed right now. And we know that environmental issues, just like a lot of other issues, they are disproportionate in Black communities. We all have heard about the water crisis in Flint, Michigan that happened in 2014, and they still don't expect anything to be fully resolved until 2020. And just a couple months ago in December, we had a United Nations rep come to Alabama here, and he said that he saw poverty and water contamination in our Black Belt in Alabama that he hadn't seen anywhere else in the developed world. So why do you think that things like this happen disproportionately in the Black community, and what do you think we can do about it?
So the Black Belt is an interesting community because it's mostly rural. They don't have a lot of strong infrastructure there in the Black Belt. Most of the people in that community, they're poor. They don't have the resources to really go after environmental polluters. And a lot of these polluters are, I won't call any names on air, but, they're, large utility companies, large companies, people that, have a lot of resources and money. Mm-hmm. So it's very hard for these communities to, really combat these individuals because they have a lot of resources that they don't have. Mm-hmm. And I think also our state governments are really complicit in this as well, because either they ignore what's going on, or for whatever reason they decide not to be involved. And, the job of our government is to keep us safe, mm-hmm. And they're supposed to implement regulation, and they're supposed to enforce regulations to make sure that all people are safe. And we don't really see as much of that in the Alabama Black Belt. And I've actually been out to some of these communities to kind of, see what's going on. And that's pretty much what the bulk of the issue is.
Yes, and I'm glad that you brought up the economics, because that's plays into the next thing that I wanted to talk about. I know that a lot of people might be wondering why I'm talking about environmental issues on this show that's about black business and wealth, but I really want to look at the issue holistically. When you have environmental issues like this going on in communities like Flint and like the Black Belt that are really not wealthy communities, it really affects our ability to create generational wealth in those communities. So for one thing, people are literally getting sick and dying from the pollution in their community. So you have extra doctor visits and medication and all kind of other healthcare costs that's directly taking money out of those communities that's needed to stay there. And second, if people don't want to wait on the government to come in and fix things for them, they might end up spending like $30,000 trying to get their sewage systems repaired or get a new one. So that's more than a lot of these people make in a whole year. So it's kind of ridiculous. True. So with you having worked in Washington, D.C. on environmental issues, do you think that the government is doing enough to try to fix the issues in the black community, and also what do you think that we can do as a community to push the issue?
Well, we certainly need more support from our governments on the federal, state, and local levels. We need our politicians to hold these agencies to the fire, to make sure that they adhere to their regulations, make sure they enforce their regulations. I think another thing that we can do, me and you, people that are just black people, we need to know about this. So hopefully people will look at this and say, I want to get involved. And what can I do? And I think what we can do as a community is talk to these state legislators, talk to these local politicians to say, we're concerned about what's going on in the Black Belt. We're concerned about the environmental issues that are going on there. We're concerned about the fact that these polluters are polluting the environment and nothing is really being done in a timely manner. So, and be aware of it, be aware of it, read up on it, research on it. You can ask me questions, I don't mind. And hold these people's feet to the fire. I think politics works a lot into this. We can't ignore that. And so we're constituents in these communities, and we have a voice, and we can speak out on this stuff.
I definitely agree. It's some really great advice, and hopefully people will take what you say and go and do their research and really get active so we can try to bring some positive change in our communities. So really great conversation so far. We are going to stop real quick and take a commercial break, and we'll talk some more.
All right.
And we are back with Dr. Kenya Goodson. Before the break, we were talking about environmental issues and what we can do to try to push environmental issues to help the black community. And I did want to talk a little bit more with you about some other issues. I know that you are very involved in politics as well. You did a wonderful job working with the Doug Jones campaign in our last Alabama Senate race, and it definitely did pay off when he won in December. So we are very proud of that. So I know that a lot of people want to get involved in politics but don't really know what it's all about. So what did you learn from that experience working with that campaign?
Oh, that's a really good question. I think that I didn't realize how much went into a campaign. you have to really engage the community. So, you have to call and call and call. You have to knock on doors. You have to really get people informed about what your candidate is about. And I think that's very important for us. We're talking about our community, African American community, and I think that it's very important for us to be knowledgeable about these candidates. And so what we tried to do in this campaign is to get more people of color involved in the actual campaign. And so that paid off, I think, really well.
Yeah, I think so, definitely.
Yeah.
And it really was an exciting campaign.
Yeah.
And I know that it really showed that the black community really can make a difference once we decide to go out to the polls and vote in a block together. So with that being said, a lot of people in the black community neglect to participate in the political process. And the excuse that I usually get is, well, I don't think that my vote really matters. And as exciting as this one election was, I'm not sure if it's going to be enough to convince everybody to get involved in the political process. So why do you think that this is such an issue in our community, and how do you think we can fix it?
Well, I think people aren't knowledgeable about the political process, and I think it's our job. Well, I feel personally responsible for making sure that people understand the political process. And I think that people have seen politicians kind of go back on their word, and they make promises, and these promises aren't kept. And I think that has been an issue with the Democratic Party per se, is you have these candidates, that reach out to the black community, to say, vote for me, but what is it that you're going to offer us as a result of our vote? So I think we need to be involved not only in the voting, but actually contacting these representatives, contacting these mayors, whoever's in office that we elect, to say, okay, these are the issues that we have, and we need you to deal with that. So we need to not only, just cast that vote. That's not going to be enough. And we need to train people on, how to engage your politicians, how to talk to them. White people do this all the time. And so we need to learn to, be at the table as well. So.
I definitely agree with that. And I'll take it a step further and say that we need more of us to actually be those politicians and go out and run, because we don't have enough representation in our community. So definitely.
Can I say something to that?
Yes.
So there are a lot of women of color that are running for political office in 2018, and I am absolutely so excited about that. So what I've been trying to do on my social media platforms is to really highlight these women, and white women too, and not just, I think there are some white people that can help us, but I really want us to see us being represented. So I've been highlighting a lot of them on my social media page. And I'm just so excited about it. I may run for office. I haven't had a lot of people to say, well, are you going to run for office? Not yet.
I'm saying it.
One day I will, but I'm just so excited about it. And I'm actually, there's one young lady, I won't call her name, that I want to actually reach out to volunteer on her campaign, and she's a woman of color. So I'm very interested to see what that's going to be like. So
I'm very excited about that as well. And you mentioned your social media, and I actually get a lot of my knowledge from your social media page, because you share a lot of good information. And I know it's one thing that you love to do is not only you keeping yourself informed, but you like to keep everybody else informed as well of what's going on in politics. So right now, is there anything on your radar that you think that our community should be aware of?
Well, there's a lot of local elections in Tuscaloosa County. I'll be sharing information about that, who's running. There's a lot of Alabama state representatives and state senators that are running for office in 2018, and all of their seats in Alabama, every last one of the state legislator and senator seats are open for re-election. So I think it gives us a lot of leverage to say, okay, you can get voted out of here, actually, if we don't see some of these issues addressed. I mean, even with the issues in the Black Belt, we need to talk to these state representatives to say, hey, we need this situation dealt with, and what are you going to do to participate? So I think that's the main thing. We have a governor's race coming up in the state of Alabama. That I think that's very important. We have a couple of, well, I don't know if, I guess Terry Sewell is running again. I'm not really sure for representative. I'm not really sure, but I think there's a lot of U.S. seats that are actually up for election. So I have to kind of clarify that. I'm not really sure. But I think that we just need to look, because we have a lot of offices that are going to be open in 2018.
These are some exciting times ahead.
Yes, it is.
And I can't wait to get more involved in the political process myself this year, because I think that we all need to step our game up a little bit this year. Yes. So I really do want to thank you so much for coming to talk to me today. You've given us a lot of great information, and hopefully a lot of people will take that information and run with it and get more involved in environmental and political work because of you. Okay. So before you go, please just tell people how they can reach out to you if they want to get some more knowledge about what's going on in politics or the environment, or even if they want to come take a class from you at Stillman. So
right.
How they get in touch with you?
Put it out there, didn't you? My Twitter handle is there we go. My Twitter handle is Poli-Sci Diva. That's capital P-O-L-I, capital S-C-I, capital D-I-V-A. I'm on Twitter all the time. I've connected with a lot of people that are running for office on Twitter, and just been tweeting out their information for people to learn about them. I don't know about my Facebook page is KG, but I also have a fan page. It's called Environmental Advocacy and Equity Roundtable. So that's my fan page. So I post a lot of information on what's going on in the environment on that page as well. So, but I think Twitter is going to be the main, way to really kind of engage with me when it comes to the environment, and also, the politics and the political information that I've been trying to get out for people to know. So.
Wonderful. Thank you so much again, and it has been a pleasure talking to you today.
It's been a pleasure. Thank you so much for inviting me today.
You are very welcome, and I will be right back with a few more words. A revolution is defined as a forcible overthrow of a government or social order in favor of a new system. It can also be defined as a single orbit of one object around another, or about an axis or center. The Black community needs a financial revolution. Our current social order just isn't working for us. Studies show that when money comes into an Asian household, it circulates within the Asian community an average of 28 days before leaving that community. For Jewish households, it's around 19 days. For Black households, it's a depressing 6 hours. And we wonder why so many of our communities are impoverished. It's up to us to overthrow this social order of mental and economic enslavement and create a new system of unity and cooperative economics. Let's support each other and make our dollars revolve in our community. Taking an active interest in our environment is imperative to conserve the health and wealth of our community. Taking an active interest in the political process can ensure that we have politicians who advocate for the health and wealth of our community. I hope this episode of The Revolution inspires you to create positive change for this and future generations. Let's support each other and make our dollars revolve in our community. Hotep family.